Greetings, mighty companions. Anna Kujawa here, and we are doing practical and healing applications of A Course in Miracles here in Ajijic, Mexico.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And we've got Wendy here. I'll show you her in a moment. And unfortunately, I can't do my screen like this, but we're going to do our opening meditation that we always do before our classes to connect with our higher self and ask our higher self what our higher self most knows we need to hear right now for healing and peace. We're going to open our minds to hear Spirit's answer, and then we're going to let Spirit choose for us through the random number generator where in a course that we study from. All right, are you guys ready? Okay, here we go. So you play behind me and we're going to do an opening meditation. Here we go.
Touch me when we're done.
Okay, beautiful. All right, you guys, if you haven't already, close your eyes and take a breath. Breathe. And feel the Spirit all around you. Feel the Spirit moving within you. And feel the Spirit connecting you to everyone and to everything. And breathe that feeling in. And now imagine your awareness like a dial on a radio, and imagine yourself tuning your awareness to the frequency and the vibration of the present moment. This holy instant now. Feel the feeling, the frequency and vibration of the present moment. See if you can feel the present moment like a golden thread that runs through eternity, connecting you to everyone and everything forever. Now, only now. And as you tune in to the present moment, see if you can detect the presence that abides in the present. Feel for it. Breathe it in. Open your heart to it. Feel it moving. Feel it breathing in you and as you. What does the Spirit that lives within you, that dwells within you, that is you, feel like? What do you feel like from the inside. And let's communicate with the spirit within us that is us. Spirit that lives within me, that is me. You know my calls for love right now. And you know exactly what would answer and heal my calls for help, my calls for love. So I ask for your guidance. I ask for your comfort. I ask for your loving wisdom. I ask for your help. Speak to me that I might be healed. Spirit, decide for all of us what you would have us hear in this healing circle today. Decide for us. Choose through us. And thank you in advance because we trust your perfect love for us. We trust your perfect wisdom and your perfect ability to answer our need in exactly the language and symbols you know we could hear it. Thank you.
I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. Will you join me? I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude, and joy. I wrap myself in words of beauty, like love, gratitude,
Beautiful. Woo. As soon as you started singing, tears came to my eyes, and I was like, "Don't cry, Anna." Oh, but it's okay.
Healing
It's all
tears.
right. Healing is safe here. Thank you, sweetie. That was amazing. Wow, what a gift. Thank you. Wow. But luckily, I got some tissues right here. Something told me have some tissues nearby. Now I know what that was. Okay, beautiful. What a perfect song to open up a Course in Miracles class with, because the Course in Miracles has the most loving, beautiful words of gratitude and joy and love. I mean, so beautiful. And the only thing that matches the beauty of the words of Course in Miracles is its actual power. You know, when you actually use the ideas, it unleashes, it unlocks a power that will blow your mind like nothing you've ever seen before. You know, and you'll say, "Whoa, what? Wait a minute." And then you go, "Wow, that's a miracle." So, we do random number generator in here. And so I'm going to, thank you, dear. Thank you. I'm going to pull up the random number generator, and we're going to see what Spirit chooses for us. All right. Okay. So, Jet, since this is your first time here, will you touch the randomize button? Okay, 23. Will you tell me how many sections there are in 23? Four. Wonderful. Okay, beautiful. And since this is your second time in class, will you hit the randomize button? 2.
The war against yourself.
Oh, lovely cheery topic. I'm so glad we had that lovely song before we do the war against yourself. Okay, so what is the chapter again?
22.
Chapter 22, section 4, and that is in the annotated, and in the blue book, it's the same title. Okay, thank you. Greg's going to look that up. Okay, so it is 22.
That way you can dive right in the read.
I'm going to dive right in, because we are going to need to dive right in. Okay, so this is, go to the annotated. No.
It's 23, right?
20.
Is that what we did? 23?
What, the chapter?
Yeah.
What was the chapter we did?
22.
23.
Was it?
Just now?
Yeah.
No, when the random number.
What was it?
23 was the number.
23.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
23,
23:2. 23, chapter 23, section 2, guys. The war against yourself. Nothing like a lovely little topic. Yeah, did anybody know that they were at war, had a little war, a little conflict going on inside of themselves? Two honest, say yes, Ever felt like that you were a composite of complete opposites within your one seeming self? Yes. Yes, all of us have. Okay, so we're going to hear about what's going on, like what is really going on inside of me? Why is it that there seems to be a battle of opposites within me? And where I'm wondering, which one really is me? You know, will the real me please stand up and identify yourself? Is it the loving me, or is it the crazy, insane me? Okay. How do you heal? How do you end the war against your own self? How do you heal that so that you're not experiencing a battle within yourself between love and fear all the time? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so here we go. Here it goes. The war against yourself. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Irene. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining our healing circle. And hi, Louise Vasquez Bolanos. Great name. The war against yourself. The memory of God, which is love, comes to the quiet mind. The memory of God comes to the quiet mind.
By the way,
In the blue book, thank you.
23, section 1, instead of 2.
If you have the blue covered addiction if you have the blue covered edition, it's 23:1. 23:1. The war against yourself. The memory of God comes to the quiet mind. The memory of love, the memory of God, cannot come where there is conflict. Why? Because a mind at war against itself does not remember eternal gentleness. Oh, wait, there's a gentleness that's eternal? I'd like to experience some of that. How would you like to be eternally gentle to yourself, not just gentle sometimes, like when you fall asleep? No, how would you like to experience a gentleness coming from you and to you that lasts forever, that's not conditional? Well, you can remember that when you have a quiet mind. The means of war are not the means of peace, which means what the warlike would remember is not love. Okay, so when we're in conflict, when there's any kind of conflict going on, that means you're not remembering love. Conflict and love do not go together. You can't remember conflict and love at the same time. What those in conflict are remembering isn't love. So just remember that. When you're in conflict, just remember, this is not love. I'm not experiencing love. I'm not being love, remembering love, feeling love. Don't confuse yourself and think that, oh, I'm really in conflict. I must love this person. No, love and conflict don't go together, just like love and fear are two opposites. So first thing it wants us to know is that love and war are opposites. They cannot occur in the same mind at the same time. Then it says, war is impossible unless belief in victory is cherished. Oh, that's what's going on. I'm in conflict because I'm cherishing the concept of victory, or as A Course in Miracles calls it, specialness, being right, being better, some kind of victory, some kind of specialness, some kind of being right, winning, competition. Okay, very interesting. I'm in conflict. What's going on here? I am cherishing the belief that I could win, that I could be right, that I could win the competition, that there's a competition of some kind going on. Okay? That's what war is impossible unless belief in victory is cherished. Wow. What does that mean? That means that conflict within you must imply that you believe that the ego has the power to be victorious. Oh, yes. I'm in conflict. That means I believe the ego has the power to be victorious. Okay. In other words, I'm believing in that the ego is the one that got the power. I'm believing that fear and guilt and lack and loss has got the power. And that's why I'm in conflict. Oh no, the ego's got the power. The ego could win. That's why I'm upset. That's why I'm upset. I'm believing the ego could win. I'm believing loss could win over me. That's why I'm upset. That's why I'm upset. I believe I believe loss could win. Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. Yeah. My ego's trying to win by not plugging in my phone. You cannot win. You cannot be victorious, ego. Okay. And of course we believe that the ego, fear, lack, anger, loss, has power to win. Of course we believe that, or else we wouldn't identify with our ego. That's why I identify with my ego. I think my ego has power. That's why I identify with my fear. That's why I identify with my anger. That's why I identify with guilt. Because I believe that all those ego emotions has power and has the ability to be victorious. I identify with my anger because I think it keeps me safe. I identify with my fear because I think it makes me safe. I think it has power to be victorious. Okay? So then it says, surely you realize that your ego is at war with God, right? Surely we what? Realize that the ego is at war with God. Now, of course, certain it is that God has no enemy. But just as certain is the ego's fixed belief that the ego has an enemy that it must overcome and will succeed. Okay. So it's teaching us a little something about the nature of the ego, our ego. And the ego is a belief system that's at war all the time. And what the ego's at war with is it's not a war against you, it's a war against God. So the ego is a thought system that came into being that was in opposition to God. No, love isn't the power, fear is. Love doesn't have power to be victorious, fear does. So the ego is a belief system that is at war with God. Okay? God's the author of reality, and the ego is the attack on that. That's how it came into being. The ego is, I'm going to push God off the throne. I'm God, says the ego. So the ego is at war with God. Okay. Now, then it says, now certain it is that the ego has no enemy. There's nothing trying to fight against the ego. He says, but just as certain is the ego's fixed belief it has an enemy and that it must overcome and will succeed. So that's what the ego thought system is all about. So whenever you are identifying with your ego and you are in your ego, you're identifying with the ego, you're thinking with the ego, aka you're angry, you're upset, you're hurt, you're broke, you're sick. Anytime you are experiencing any of those emotions which are coming from this belief system, you are believing that you have an enemy that you must overcome and that you will succeed. Gosh, when I'm in my ego, I'm believing I have an enemy. Okay, yeah, it totally makes sense. That's what it means to be in your enemy. That's what it means to be in your ego. I'm believing that there's an enemy out there and I got to defend myself. I got to overcome it. I'm under threat. I have an enemy that I need to overcome. Okay? And that if I just be angry enough, I will succeed. I will be, if I could just attack and blame and project enough, I will succeed. That's what it means. That's what you're believing when you are thinking with your ego. Anybody recognize that? Yes. Okay, so ego is the belief that there's a threat out there that can overcome you and that it might succeed. And so you need to defend yourself. So that's what the ego is. It's a belief that I'm vulnerable, I'm under attack, and that I have to defend myself. Wow. When in truth, how and what we were created by our source has made us 100% completely and totally, eternally invulnerable. Cannot be hurt, cannot be touched by anything but love, cannot die, cannot lose, cannot be changed into anything ugly or unlovable or weak. That's the truth about us. as we were created by our source. Okay? And obviously the ego don't know that. The ego's like, yeah, I'm weak. I'm very weak. I'm very guilty. I can lose. I can lack. Something can be taken from me. I can be hurt. And I have only myself to defend myself. Okay? Those are the two thought systems that we're talking about right now. Okay? The ego is always at war. The ego is always in conflict. The ego is the idea of conflict. The ego never takes a break and goes on holiday and goes, I'm just going to relax in peace today. I'm going to go to the hot springs and just chill out. Have a margarita and just, don't do conflict today. The ego never takes a vacation from conflict. Ego never takes a vacation from war. And it tells you who's in charge of our world governments, eh? Always at war. Always at war. Wow. Okay. Now we're in paragraph 2. Don't you realize that a war against yourself would be a war on God? Is victory against God conceivable? And if victory against God were conceivable, is this a victory that you would want? The death of God, even if it were possible, would be your death. Is that a victory? Your ego, the ego, always marches to defeat. Why? Because the ego thinks that triumph over you is possible. And Source thinks otherwise. Wow. So that is the best news that you could ever hear about the ego. Here's the truth about the ego, your ego. It's always marching to defeat. The ego can never win. So whatever part of us is the ego, the angry, the unhappy, the broke, the sick, the lonely, that belief system is always undoing itself. It's always marching itself to a cliff over which it will go. That's the good news about the ego. It can never have power over you. It can never win over you. The ego can never win over you. Hallelujah. And whatever it is that you're believing in your ego, whatever it is you're doing in your ego, is not going to work. It's going to end. The ego is ever undoing. It's self-undoing. Okay? Just like, when you see somebody who's in their ego, when you're watching somebody in their ego and they're insane, they're angry and they're judging and they're making all kinds of plans and they're making all kinds of defenses. And let's just say, for instance, they're coming after you. Have you ever had somebody who was really angry and projecting that anger onto you? All you need to know is just step out of the way. Just let it go on by. If you don't defend yourself against it, it will just march right on past you and go over its own cliff. If you don't defend yourself. Now if you realize the ego can't ever win, the ego can't win over me, the ego is always self-undoing, then you don't need to fight against it. You don't have to fight against it. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to protect yourself from it. Just step out of the way by not defending yourself, and it will just go on past you and undo itself. It'll either self-select itself out or take itself on over a cliff. Okay. That's the real power. That's if you want to have victory over your ego, then all you need to do is remember, oh yeah, this belief system doesn't have any power over me. No matter how angry it is, no matter how mean it is, no matter how big of a bully it is, it really doesn't have any power over me or against me, because it doesn't have any power over God. God, love, that which created me, is the only thing that has power. And so the ego has no power to do anything. And as you realize the truth about it, that it has no power to do anything, because all power comes from source, then it just dissolves. It goes back into the nothingness from which it came. Okay? And that ends the war. So the ego is like doing battle against you. You suck. You're a loser. You're going to lose. You're vulnerable. You're weak. You're an idiot. You're a failure. It's battling against you. It's trying to get you, right? And but because it has no power over you, all you need to do is don't defend yourself. And remember that it has no power. And then that's the end of the war. So even though it's fighting against you, it takes two to have a war, right? It takes two to battle, right? Yes. So, you know, ego is fighting against you, trying to put you down. But what happens if you don't defend yourself? It's like, I'll go find someone else. The ego will exit the scene because it takes two to battle. It takes two to war. And yeah, it's going to be warring against you, but that don't mean that you have to fight back. No. So when your ego is harassing you with guilt, with shame, with anger, with defensive plans, don't fight back. Don't defend yourself. Don't make plans to protect yourself. Just remember the truth. The ego has no power. All power is only of God and love. Ego has no power to do anything. I am as God created me, not my ego. All right. Okay, beautiful. Now, he says, the ego always marches to defeat because the ego thinks that triumph over you is possible and love, source, thinks otherwise. This is no war. It's just the mad belief that you, the will of God, can be attacked and overthrown. Now, you may identify with this crazy belief, but never would this crazy belief be more than madness. And fear will reign in madness, and fear will seem to have replaced love there in your madness. As a matter of fact, this is conflict's purpose. And to those who think that conflict's purpose is possible, then the means for conflict's purpose seem real. So, what is the purpose of war? What's the purpose of conflict? The purpose of conflict is that fear will reign in madness in your mind and replace love in your mind. That's the ego's goal. That's war, that's conflict's purpose. That fear reigns supreme in your mind and you're forever insane. And notice how the word madness, as in insanity, starts with the word mad. I think it's trying to say that when you're mad, you're insane. Remember, we were talking about that this weekend, you know. When fear is reigning in your mind and has replaced love, all you are is afraid and angry, then you are insane, you know. And that is conflict's goal. So next time you're in conflict, or let's say you're in conflict now, try something and go, you know, that I'm insane right now and not full of love was the purpose of this conflict. It's like, it seems like conflict just happens to us out of the blue. You know, I was just walking down the street, having a good day, drinking a latte, and conflict, this problem attacked me. I got mugged by a problem today. It seems like the conflict just comes out of the blue and gets us, an accident. This is saying that conflict is something that was very calculated. It had a purpose, and that purpose was that fear would control my mind completely so that I don't even have any love in my awareness. That's its purpose. And guess who said yes to it? Whoever's experiencing it. Right. So conflict is not an accident. Conflict has a purpose. And is that you would be just completely full of fear in your mind, no love there, no peace, and that would be eternal. Very interesting. So we want to tell ourselves this problem I'm experiencing is not an accident. It's a very cold and has a very cold and calculating purpose. That my ego architected, that my ego came up with, for a very cold and cruel purpose. So my ego wants me to just be in hell, in fear, all the time. Why? Because my ego's whole life force energy is my fear. My ego feeds off fear. The ego feeds off fear. The ego is a fear parasite. The ego is a fear tick. It lives off of it. And if we don't have fear in our minds, the ego dies. And so the ego's one purpose is to survive off of the fear in our minds. And so to do that, the ego has got to convince us that we're at war all the time. You know, war with the environment, a war against drugs, a war against this, a war against that, a war against this. You know, the mosquitoes, you're at war with the mosquitoes. I'm at war with the mosquitoes. I'm just in there scratching a mosquito bite. Mosquitoes.
The ego is like the government.
Yes, exactly. And the government, which is a manifestation of the ego, all it does is be afraid. You need to be afraid about this. You need to be afraid about this. And tune into the evening news to find out what else you got to be afraid of that maybe you didn't know you need to be afraid of today. Maybe you messed up and went to the hot springs and had a margarita and forgot to be afraid. We cannot have that. We cannot have that. And so ego's like, why don't you listen to the news on the way back home from the hot springs? And you listen to the news and you're like, oh, something else to be afraid of. Leeches. Oh, that was hilarious. We were in the hot springs and we were like, this is so amazing. You don't have to worry about any fish or any da-da-da. And then Chris and Serena go, leeches. All right. So what we want to do is when we're experiencing conflict, we want to remember this is the ego's plan. That this is the ego's trying to do a coup on you. That's what conflict is. The ego trying to do a coup on you. Okay. And we want to question it and go, my ego is trying to get me afraid. My ego is trying to get me scared right now. Why? I wonder why. Oh, the ego must have been feeling like it was getting hungry. You know, its stash of fear that it was feeding off of me was getting low. Its fear tank was getting low. You know, so it's like, oh, I know exactly what will frighten her. Oh, I know. Oh, let's do this one. Let's make her be afraid about what might happen to her child. Oh, that's her favorite one. That's our favorite one. Okay, so that's what, you know, this is teaching us about the nature of the ego, what the ego's up to, what its goal is, what its single purpose is, so that when it's doing its dirty deeds, when it's doing its plan, we can go be smarter and realize that's my ego and I'm not my ego, and I say no. No, ego. Remember, ego, I made you. Ego's like, I made you. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? Questions or comments? Jerry says, I've seen people who look like raving maniacs when they're mad. Yes. Man, it wasn't me, was it, Jerry? Questions or comments? Thoughts on these two paragraphs?
One thing that caught my eye on the first sentence where it says, "Do you not realize a war against yourself would be a war on God?" Is every time we entertain a thought in our mind, you know, that I'm not good enough, or I'm lacking, or a million other things, we're really stabbing God's creation. We didn't make us.
Yes.
And we're stabbing what God made and casting forth criticism on what God made. What you made doesn't have enough God. It's not
Yes.
sufficient enough.
Very
Every time I talk to myself like that, that's what I was hearing.
beautiful. Yeah, Greg was saying that don't you realize that a war against yourself would be a war on God, and that every time our ego is attacking us, it's really attacking God who created us. Just like, yeah.
We're siding with it.
Yes,
We're
exactly.
stepping over on the ego saying, "Oh, I'm killing you." and
Exactly.
attacking.
Just like if somebody were to attack my child, that would most definitely be an attack on me, her parent, you know. And so he's saying the same thing here, that, you know, an attack on you would be to an attack that which created you. You know, we don't think about that when we're like putting ourselves down. We don't think like, you know, oh, I'm attacking God. But maybe if we did think like that, if we were going to attack somebody or judge somebody, if we were to think to ourselves, look at me, I'm judging God. I'm attacking God. Maybe you might think twice about judging that person or attacking that person with guilt. You know, because to attack the creation is to attack the Creator. That's how intimately linked we are with our source.
I was asked just before Christmas, or kind of instructed not to come to this Christmas party because I had taken a vaccine, and I didn't want to take the vaccine, but I took the vaccine. I'm in this community, was in this community, and I went through some really difficult experience, and I felt really, really upset with the community because I have a medical situation where I have to be able to go back to Canada in order to get certain whatever, deal with it. And so I was like, it's not all black and white, and I felt like this really...
Felt attacked.
I felt attacked,
Yes.
and it didn't feel good for me at all.
Yes.
And my friends, Brenda McMorrow and a couple other people were really helping me to see like it just wasn't serving me to be seeing that I was right, or that they were wrong, or that there was a right or a wrong, and that it was actually really better for me to stay in this not knowing of anything. And I'm kind of like really coming to terms with that more and more regarding this, well, you're bad for vax, you're good for vax, this is the thing to do, this is the thing that I should do.
Yes.
And it's such a tricky thing because my whole family is over here and all my friends are over here, and it's like there's never been this in my life. It's so fresh, it's so pertinent to the reality of our vaccine story right now.
Absolutely. There's a big old war. Well, and let's just say this. The vaccine wars that are definitely happening right now, it is just another expression of the war, the war against ourselves that the ego's been doing for a long time. You know, it's just the latest updated expression of the war against ourself. Okay, so it's just one version of that. And so in your life right now, this is an expression of your war against yourself, your ego's war against you, not yours, but your ego's, right? And so the ego's attacking you. You should, you shouldn't, you should, you shouldn't, right? And but if you don't attack back and defend yourself, realizing that who you are can't be attacked, friends or family or whatever, then war over. War over, you know. Yeah, and your friend Brenda gave you the best advice, that the answer is never to attack back whether that attack comes in judging them or judging yourself. So, best advice, when the ego is attacking you, remember that there can be no victory over you, who you are. And so, there's really nothing's happening. Really, just the ego is just marching to its own defeat. The ego's attacking itself. And what happens when the ego attacks itself? Eventually it undoes itself. The ego is always self-undoing. That which fights, that which attacks, is always marching to defeat. And so, we're learning how not to engage in a war over nothing. It can never win anyway. So, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. I love the practical life applications. That's the best. So, we love those, because every time, like you share a practical application of these principles, it helps everybody. Okay? Because that's the perfect example of one of the wars that's going on right now in our world. So,
Lots of conflict with it.
What'd you say?
Lots of conflict.
There's definitely a vaccine war going on right now, among others. The ego's always at war. Wherever the ego shows up, wherever the ego has been given power that it doesn't have, wherever the ego is identified with, war is going on. Maybe you call it a small conflict, maybe you call it a global conflict, but that's all the ego does. The ego's a one-trick pony. War. How can I get some war going on? And it's very clever. It's a diabolical genius because we made it, right? It came from our mind. And so all the ego's ever doing is telling us how we're being attacked and how we are under siege and how we are under threat. And all of the military systems and legal systems on our planet were all created to keep the sense of threat real. That's what it's all about. All the legal system, all the military system, all the government systems of the whole world. It's all to make that sense of threat feel real so that we'll defend ourselves, protect ourselves. And what did it say about being in a state of fear? When you're in a state of fear, you can't be in a state of love. You can't be in a state of love while you're in fear, and the ego knows that. So, so it's trying everything it can to keep us in a state of mind where we're not just like, wow, love, man, love, everything. Only love is real. You are love. I am love. Look at the universe. It's love. Man, love. Okay. Now, if we were seeing correctly and not identifying with our ego, that's all we would see. That's all we would know. That's all we would feel. That's all we would be experiencing is love. And all the joy and peace and happiness and abundance that comes with that. That's all we'd be experiencing if we weren't in fear. Of course, the Miracle says we have two emotions, love and fear. That's it. And everything, all the other names are synonyms of those two emotions. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Jet, for sharing that. Beautiful. Anything else? All right. How about you guys? Hi, Jeannie. Lovely to see you. Irene says, I don't defend myself. Good. Yes. Irene says, I get grief from significant others regarding my study of A Course in Miracles. Yes. We all understand that. We all understand that, Irene. And Irene, thank you for sharing that. That's another way that your ego is trying to attack you so that you will keep the fear going in your mind. Okay? And what's the best thing to do? In my defenselessness, my safety lies. The Course in Miracles says when you say, in my defenselessness, my safety lies, you are accessing the ultimate power. When you say, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. I do not need to defend myself. A child of God needs no defense. You are accessing the ultimate power. Now, when you access that ultimate power, here's what happens. Whatever expression of your ego was attacking you and giving you grievance, giving you guilt for studying A Course in Miracles, what happens is it shifts. That source of guilt either shifts and gives love, or the person who is giving you guilt self-selects out. Because the ego, if you're not going to fight with the ego don't want to play with you. If you're not going to defend yourself against somebody's ego, then they're going to go play with somebody who will. So, if you got somebody in your life that you're fighting with, it's because you're fighting with them. It's because you're defending yourself. Okay? And if you don't defend yourself, they will just go find somebody who will. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Okay. Hi, Bridget. Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready for paragraph 3? Yes. Okay, everybody take a breath. Whew. Be certain that it is impossible that God and the ego, or yourself and the ego, will ever meet. Oh my goodness, me and my ego have never really met. Wow, what does that mean? That means I am not my ego. You know what? My ego's never met me. That's for sure, because when my ego talks to me, I'm like, excuse me, have you ever met me? Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and they were like, when you're this and you're that and you this and you that, and you're thinking to yourself, have you even met me? Do you even know me? Have you ever had a conversation with someone when someone's talking to you, you realize they don't even know you, but they are acting like they do? Well, that's how our ego is. Our ego's talking like it knows us. You this and you always that and you never this and you this and da 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 da. And good to remember that when your ego's talking to you like that, your ego don't even know you, because it's never even met you. The ego was born in opposition to who you are. Okay? So just remember that about your ego. It doesn't even know. It's never even met you. Ego, you never even met me. Wow, that's really deep. That's really deep. A good thing to remember when your ego is putting you down and trying to scare you and threatening you and telling you if you don't do this, then that. Okay? So, now it says, you and your ego seem to meet and make your strange alliances on grounds that have no meaning, because your beliefs, yours and the ego, converge upon the body. The body, the ego's chosen home. The body is the ego's chosen home, which you believe is your home. Aha. The ego's not your home. I mean, your body's not your home. That's not where you live. Where do you live? Not in a body. That's not. I'm just temporarily. It's an ego B&B. It's an ego body, an ego B&B. You know. I don't live in my body. My body is not my home, but it sure is my ego's body. It's a perfect home for the body. Of course, because the body dies. And the body seems to be separate. And the body needs more every single day. So of course, the ego loves the body and identifies with the body. You know? Because the body can be hurt. The body can die. The ego always needs more. It says, and so you and your ego meet at a mistake. You and your ego meet at the body, which is a mistake. What is the body? An error in your self-appraisal. My error in my self-appraisal needs a walk. Isn't that an interesting definition of a body? my error in my self-appraisal. And when I go, oh, I'm this body. Oh, no, that's an error in your self-appraisal. You know, you're not your body, and you should be dang glad you're not that body. Because if you're this body, oh boy, then you are under threat. Then you should be afraid. Then you can die. Then you can lose if you're your body. Wow. Okay. And we're like meeting with our ego. Me and my ego will never meet, but we're both hanging out in the body. You know, it's like we're in the same coffee shop, but we're not, we're not talking. It says, in other words, the ego joins with an illusion of yourself that you share with it. And yet illusions cannot join. Illusions are the same, which means illusions are nothing. Illusions are the same and they're nothing. Okay. What is nothing is the same. Okay. So all illusions, whatever form they take, they're all nothing. That's what all illusions have in common. Okay. This illusion, this problem, this conflict, this war, this ego, this body, this illusion, what they all have in common is they're all nothing. And the joining of illusions lies in nothingness. Two illusions are as meaningless as one illusion or as 1,000 illusions. The ego joins with nothing being nothing. And so the victory that the ego seeks is meaningless as itself. Wow. So the body is an illusion. And anything that has to do with the body, anything that's for the body, like war, like conflict, like food, like whatever, they never can join. Illusions can't join. Have you noticed that bodies can't join either? As much as we try to get them to join, we try to like push them into each other and rub them up against each other, but they can't join. You know, they can like do this, but they can't join because illusions can't join. Illusions are separate, okay? Okay, so he's wanting us to know the truth about the body, okay? Wanting us to understand the truth about the body. Your ego has made the body its home. You think you live in your body, but it's not your home, and bodies can't join, okay? So if you think you are a body, and you're trying to join with another body thinking that's joining, you're going to be very disappointed again. And that's what we call love, okay? My body is joining with your body, and that means love. But why is it that when we get our bodies together, we're not experiencing love, we're experiencing more fear and hate? I thought that when the bodies got together, that was love. I thought that when I got the right body, that I would have found love. And he's saying that you can't join with a body. Bodies don't join because bodies are illusions. All right. I know, it's oh, good. Paragraph 4. Bridget says, only minds can join. Oh, Bridget says, I stopped defending, they shut up. There you go. That's kind of what happens. They either leave or they get quiet. And then it says something wonderful. It says, brother, sister, the war against yourself is almost over. Yay! How do you know? Because the journey's end is at the place of peace. Ah, the war against ourselves is almost over. How do we know? Because we've come to the place where we've said, I want peace. What is peace? How do I experience peace? I just remembered I want peace. I just remembered my goal is peace. It used to be that my goal was power, fame, money, physical pleasure. And now we've remembered, especially if you've come to A Course in Miracles, oh, The only thing that's really going to make me happy, the only thing that's really going to fulfill me is peace of mind. Oh yeah, I just remembered. I want to be happy. I want peace of mind. Oh yeah. And now we have a new goal. And so that's how you know that the war against yourself is almost over. It used to be that all of my desires were about the body. Power, fame, money, physical pleasure. You know, it used to be that was, how can I get something more for my body? Pride, specialness, things, possessions, other people's bodies to house my specialness in better style. It was all about the body. I used to think I wanted the body because I thought I was a body. But that didn't make me happy. I got all the things I ever wanted for the body, and I still wasn't happy. And then ego said, well, get some more stuff for the body. And I got some more stuff for the body. And not only was I not happy, but now I was also in debt and depressed. And so my ego said, oh, Anna, go get some more stuff for your body. Go get a different body. Yeah, I'll get a different body. And I got a different body, and now I have more debt, less happiness, and more guilt. Okay. And so then we come to A Course in Miracles or something like A Course in Miracles, and it tells you that the only thing that can truly satisfy your soul, for real, lasting, is peace of mind. In other words, the awareness that only love is real, and you are only love, and only love is real. Okay, and you go, yeah, I recognize that. I may not have accepted that, but I get that. I can see how that's true, because I've tried everything else, and it didn't make me happy. Peace of mind is the one thing I didn't try. And so now you're like, okay, I got a new goal. You got a new goal. I got a new purpose. Peace of mind. Only love is real. Accepting the reality of love instead of fear. Now the war against yourself is almost over. Once you've accepted the new purpose, the one purpose that really can bring you happiness and fulfillment. Beautiful. And he says, and since the war against yourself is almost over, would you not now accept the peace offered you here? You're almost there. You're almost there, experiencing the peace of mind that is true fulfillment, and you're almost there. Wouldn't you now accept it? It's right there. You can see it. Wouldn't you now say yes? Okay? You know, when you can see the finish line, you can see it. You know, are you going to say no to the finish line? You know, you're going to be like, I see the finish line. You know, I'm getting there. Even if I have to crawl across it. Okay. So it says, this enemy you fought as an intruder on your peace is here transformed before your sight into the giver of your peace. Wow. And what was our enemy? Our so-called enemy was God himself, to whom all conflict, triumph, and attack of any kind are all unknown. Wow. And what is it about God? Well, here's what it is about God. Here's the truth about God. And of course, it's going to be the opposite of what you always heard about God. Here's the truth about God. God loves you. How does God love you? Perfectly, which means completely and eternally. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth about God. And here at this place where we realize that all we want is peace, not conflict, not eternal war, not fear, we realize that, dang, all this fighting and conflict and warring and defending and fear, it was all against God. That's what it was all about, you know. Yeah, it was all about, it was all against God. I don't want your truth, God. I don't want your love, God. I want that person's love. You know, the one who can't love me eternally, the one who can't love me perfectly and completely, the one who doesn't even love me. And how do I know they don't love me? Because they give me a lot of guilt. They attack me a lot. They call it love, but it ain't love. And so, you know, all of this, my only enemy was truth, was love, real love, God's love. That was the enemy I was defending myself against. Wow, that is deep. And a child of God at war with their Creator is a condition as ridiculous as nature roaring at the wind in anger and saying, I am not part of you any longer, says the wind to nature. That's how insane and crazy it is to be at war with your source, your Creator. This is as crazy and ridiculous as nature roaring at the wind in anger and saying it's no longer part of nature anymore. Like wind is revolting. Wow. And that's what we've been doing. This war against ourselves, that we thought we were warring against something outside of ourselves, was really us saying, F you, God, I created myself. You know, I make myself. I know what I need. I'll get what I need. You know, I'm God. Right? That's what we've been doing. That's the ridiculousness that we've been doing. That's our only enemy. Wow. Beautiful. Take a breath and questions or comments. All right.
You know, you're reminding me, Anna, of when I sat in with Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson, and I got up to ask them a question, and I asked, I said, I really am struggling because I really have such a strong libido and I want to have sex. And I want to have sex. And I see men and I just get triggered and I just want to have sex. And their answer was completely different. Because Marianne answered first, and Deepak Chopra was shocked. Because...
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Marianne Williams said, well, I want you to go out there and I want you to go and have as much sex as you can. and Deepak Chopra saw his face and he went, and then she said, and then he spoke a little bit, and then she spoke, and she said, yeah, I really want you to go out and do that and find out if it gave you what you want.
There you go.
She said, find out, I want you to promise me something.
Yes.
When you go do that, go find out if that gave you what you wanted. And if you honestly find out that that didn't give you what you wanted, then maybe there's something else that you want.
Beautiful. That you just don't know about right now.
It changed my life.
It's beautiful.
It changed my life.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And that's, you know, and that's what we're talking about, you know, that it's like we've been, you know, fighting so hard and defending ourselves and against the threat of not happiness, you know, thinking that that's going to like make us happy, you know, and what we've been fighting against is the happiness you already have and have been already given, built in by your Creator. It's like we've been fighting against the love and the happiness that we already had.
Yes.
That we already had. You know, such a great story. I love it, love it, love it. And we could apply that to all the stuff that we think that will give us that completion and that fulfillment that has something to do with the body. You know. Yes, beautiful. And all the things we fight about, all the things that we're in conflict about, we defend ourselves and threat about, what's it all about? The body. The body. The idea that the body's our home, the body's who we are, and that we can experience satisfaction through the body. He says that is one of the craziest ideas ever that the human mind came up with, that you can experience satisfaction through the body. He goes, you're trying to find pleasure through the body, but there is no pleasure of the body. That's not what experiences pleasure. Body doesn't experience. That's a experience in the mind. You know, the body can't satisfy you. And, you know, you would think that we would all get that by now, you know, adults that we are, as much as we've all done with our bodies. We spend all day long thinking about the body. Of Course in Miracles asks us to ask ourselves the questions. What plans do you make throughout the day that don't involve the body's protection, pride, or pleasure in some way? And I hated that question. Okay. Yes.
When you share with other people your knowledge and you have this feeling of love and you are feeling connected to everybody,
Yes.
I think it's the moment when you are going out of this experience.
Yes. And the Course in Miracles says that what you described, the joining and connecting and sharing truth and love with others, the Course in Miracles says that's the only real pleasure. And real meaning lasting. You know, the pleasure isn't, only real pleasure is not of the body. It's of joining. And it's what we ultimately all are seeking is joining, right? Knowing that we're one. Knowing and feeling that we're connected. That is what we're all really seeking. But we were taught that you can only experience that through bodies. Right, and the Course, and then it's like, but logic tells us, well, that can't be, because after having all these bodies and body experiences and body pleasures, why are we still dissatisfied? Okay, and here it's reminding us that we've been fighting against real love and real happiness within ourselves. We've been fighting against it. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me, God. And what is the real experience? It's that our Creator loves us perfectly and completely and eternally. And which means you don't have to defend it. You don't have to get it. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to worry about trying to keep it. Once you have it, you have it. What you have forever and perfectly and completely, you don't have to fight for. You don't have to fight for it. What's real. And that's what's within us. And the only fighting we've really been doing is fighting against the truth. Fighting against what we have already, that love. Fighting against what we are, that love. That's the war against ourselves. Right? Wow, it seems like we're at war with the world. And it seems like we're in conflict with others. But if I wasn't fighting against the love of my Creator that I have forever, perfectly and completely, if I wasn't fighting against that, then there'd be nothing that anybody would say or do. There'd be nothing that could happen. Nothing that would upset me. Nothing. Like, if you knew that you were loved perfectly and completely and forever by your source, and that's the reality, what could you be upset about? What could you be hurt by? What could you be afraid of? And where in the universe could you not be happy? You'd be happy anywhere, everywhere, all the time. There's nothing that could be happening, nowhere you could go where you weren't experiencing total fulfillment and satisfaction, because you know the truth. And what's the truth? I am loved completely, perfectly, and forever by my source. Deep. Wow. So you could say that any conflict is me fighting against the truth. To no avail, because since God is the author of reality, any other BS like fear or guilt or threat or death is temporary. It's always self-undoing. It will never last. It will never last. It won't work. It won't prevail over me. because God is the author of reality, not the ego and not me. And that is the source of true fulfillment and happiness, knowing the truth. You know, know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Know the truth and you will be eternally happy. I am in need of nothing but the truth. Mm-hmm.
When you say about the ego and the love, I have kind of vision in my mind that the ego is building the wall, and the love is finding the solution.
And that love is what?
The love is finding a solution.
Oh, yes.
To connect, and the ego is making the wall.
Yes, that's right.
It's an easier way and faster way to
That's
protect
right.
yourself. You know?
Yes.
There's a very coming way
Yes,
to protect. But
exactly.
we are humans, so we can speak. And this is kind of like a key.
Yes, beautiful. So, Martian was saying that the ego is building the wall, and what were you saying? Then the love is, what are you saying about love?
Finding a solution.
Finding a solution.
Connect.
Yes, finding a solution, exactly. And it's like, and then you build the wall, and then love whispers in your ear, I'm back here too. Right on. Beautiful, okay. Beautiful. Any other questions or comments on that before we go to our final paragraph for this section? Okay. All right. We are coming to the completion of the session. Paragraph 5. Could nature possibly establish that wind was separate from itself and make it true? Nor is it up to you to say what shall be part of you and what is kept apart. That's not up to you. That's not up to you. You didn't create yourself. The war against yourself was undertaken to teach yourself that you are not yourself. Oh, that's what my ego's up to. Okay, I'm creating a conflict within myself to teach me that I'm not myself. And what is myself? What is myself is I am my Creator's creation. The war against myself was undertaken to teach myself I'm not myself, and which means not my Creator's creation. That's all the ego's doing, and that's all I'm doing when I'm siding with my ego. That's what all the conflict's about. That's what all the fear's about. That's what all the anger's about. That's what all the problems are about. That's what all the war is about. I'm trying to teach myself that I'm not the child of my Creator who loves me with a perfect and complete and eternal love. That's what it's all about. Okay, ego, jig is up. Now we see what the ego's one purpose is. And what our purpose is when we're siding with the ego, since we're not our ego. Okay? So do something really radical as a problem-solving approach, and next time you find yourself in conflict, just do something wild and crazy and say, wow, I'm trying to teach myself that I am not myself, that I am not loved perfectly and completely and eternally by God, my source. That's what I'm up to. And so when you're upset and someone says, hey, how's it going? Go, I'm trying to teach myself I'm not myself, that I'm not perfect and completely loved by my source. How about you? See what they do. I'm fine. Awesome. Great. But the Course in Miracles says that when your illusion, which is your lies, your conflict, when your conflict and your lies are brought together with the truth, this universal truth, that they cannot remain in the same place, the illusion has to go. As soon as your ego lies meets the truth, your ego lies go back to nowhere. Just like the darkness in a room disappears as soon as you flick on the light switch. Okay? So as soon as you tell yourself about your problem, as soon as you tell yourself the truth about your problem, which is not your version of the problem, then your problem ends, even though you may not understand that truth. I may not understand, I may not accept it perfectly and completely. Well, of course I don't accept it perfectly and completely, that I'm loved completely and perfectly by God. But it's still the truth. And if I say it in place of my ego's lies, mean lies, then my ego's mean lies go, even though I haven't fully accepted it or believe it. Because it is the truth. The truth is something you'll have to believe for it to be true. That's how you know it's the truth. You don't have to believe it for it to be true. All you have to do is choose it, say it, use it. I love that. Because for this, okay, for us to teach ourselves that we are not ourselves, loved perfectly, completely, forever, the memory of our Creator has to be forgotten. And the memory of our Creator's love is forgotten in the body's life. Dang. And if you think you are a body, you will believe you have forgotten your Creator's complete eternal love. Right. Interesting. But truth can never be forgotten by itself, which means you have not forgotten what you are. Only a strange illusion of yourself, the ego, only a wish to triumph over what you are, the ego, doesn't remember the truth, doesn't remember the eternal love that created you. Wow. Only the ego doesn't remember God and God's love, okay? And only you, when you're identifying with your body, don't remember it. It's the only reality there is. It's the only thing that's ever really happening anytime, anywhere, forever. But the only thing that doesn't know that you are loved perfectly and completely forever by the source is your ego, and you who's identifying with your ego. And let's remember as often as we can, but I'm not my ego, which means I can remember that. I can remember the nature of reality and how loved I am. I can remember it because I'm not an ego. And when can I remember that?
Now.
Anytime I want. Anytime the war against myself is hurting too much. Anytime the war against myself, within myself, is costing me too much. Any time like that, I can go, because I am not my ego, I can remember the love that my source has for me and created me in, and I choose to remember that now. That's it. Beautiful. And then what happens to the war within yourself? What happens to the conflict? It's the same thing that happens to the darkness in a room when you flick on the light. That's what happens. That's where it goes. Where'd it go? The truth shined it away. All right. So we're going to stop here, and I want to check in. Questions, comments. Beautiful. Jerry says, we're all just in one big video game. Yes, that we're doing to ourselves. Beautiful. Bridget says, truth dissolves the ego. Tell yourself the truth. Okay. Now, what did you hear in this section today? What did you hear that you would really like to remember when you walk out this room for maybe 5 minutes? Everything. No.
All the conflict is basically me fighting myself.
Yes, exactly. Against what you are.
Fighting against myself.
I'm trying to teach myself I'm not what I am.
Which is part of God.
Which is part of, yes.
Remember that as part of God, then I would remember that I can be nothing but perfect. I can be nothing
Yes.
but whole and complete.
Yes.
As well as everyone else.
Yes.
The moment I don't see you that way, is the moment I don't think that you are a part of creation.
Yes.
That you could be whole and complete.
Exactly. And
You
that's
can't be a part of God if you're not whole.
That's right. And that's going to be the moment that I'm like, hey, why am I in conflict? Why am I upset? Why am I mad all of a sudden?
Conflict.
Yeah, I'm in conflict.
Conflict.
Yeah.
What I got out of it tonight was I always loved the bullets or whatever you want to call them, the shields that I can pick up from the course. So when next time ego's at large, we can pull out anger, ego, conflict,
Yes.
ego. And I love that what you're saying. What's the purpose of it?
Yeah. Tell yourself the truth about the purpose of it.
So instead of
Yeah.
bomb, I can think of a conflict. Okay.
Yes.
Conflict going on.
That's right.
What's the purpose? To demonstrate that God's not whole, complete, and perfect.
Exactly.
Something's wrong with God.
That's right. Yeah. It's just like he was saying that the conflict is like, I'm trying to prove that I'm right about what's going on. Now, I'm right about what they are and what they're doing and what they're up to, and I'm the one. I'm right. I'm trying to have victory over God. I'm trying to be God. I'm trying to go, you're not the author of reality. You're not the boss of me, God. You know, I know better and I'm guilty. And how do I know I'm guilty? Because they're guilty. Because they're a big jerk. You know. So yeah, let's redefine things. Drama equals conflict, equals I'm trying to teach myself that I'm not loved, that I'm not perfect and complete. And I'm trying to be right. I'm trying to be God. You know, and how do you think that's going to work out, Anna? You know, fighting against God. You know, get out of here, God. I know better than you. I'm going to kick you off the throne. Okay, Anna, how's it? You think that's going to work out for you? Who do you think's going to win? Come on now, honey. Come on, Anna. Come back to sanity. Come back to sanity, honey. Come on, come on. Thank you. Perfect. Anybody else? What'd you hear?
It's kind of it's a little deeply personal, but I guess that's what we're here for. Right?
Hey, after what Jet shared,
Yeah, right.
who can share?
I was accused at different parts of my life, especially when I was younger, of like being like defensive and being what I realized what would happen is I would start to become under attack. And there was a point maybe about 10 years ago I realized I had to find an enemy. Like, and so it seemed like whatever point in life I was, there was somebody, at least one person, not a few people, that I had all of my ire directed at, and they were the people who were, you know, and everybody else though was beautiful, amazing, and wonderful. But I had that sort of channel that I was developing, and then as I got older, what I started to realize, especially maybe a couple of years ago, was I would get into this persecution complex, right? So and it was a real shift in the like the way that my mind was thinking, you know, that I would suddenly feel like whatever situation it was, if it was a job or if it was a relationship, suddenly they were doing something, to me, and whoa, and I had to really defend. I now I'm saying more what it is. It was a defense. And you know, something I wrote down that as I was thinking of that when you said that was the ego defends, the ego attacks, the ego feels threats, and the ego is threatening.
Yes.
Because people would say like, oh, I'm really, you know, you feel really threatening. I'm like, I'm not threatening. What are you talking about? You know, what else wrong with you? I just speak loudly. You know?
I just speak loudly. I'm just speaking my truth.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great. That's great.
Really,
That's great.
Like holding on to it.
Yes.
In those moments, you know. I've been walking away being like, oh, those fucking people.
Those fucking people.
Or that fucking place.
Yes.
And that fucking, you know, and then my beautiful uncle pointed out to me, you know, earlier in my life that when it continues to be the same problem with different people, then
What's the common denominator?
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so a lot of
that's-
these things are coming together.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful awareness. And there's a lot of us who can relate to having a persecution complex.
Yeah.
You know, you go through your life and it's always someone or something that's, you know, attacking you, forcing you to defend yourself.
In one particular channel,
Yes.
I would neatly place it at one
Yes,
person or one
right.
a couple of people,
Yes.
and then make sure that everything else is okay. But it
Yes.
was allowed to be there.
Exactly.
And what I'm hearing from you, learning is that there's no place for love in that moment.
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So,
There's no way that love can be in your mind at the same time.
There's no enemies.
And it was only when I was shipped out of it, I finally.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't have an enemy.
Exactly. Beautiful. Thank you. We can all totally relate to that. Thank you. That the ego only sees in terms of threat. That's it. That's it. You know, that's the only filter the ego looks through. And like Jet was saying, the truth is that we have no enemy except our own fear of truth, our own defense against the truth of the matter, you know. And so the Course in Miracles, like she says, say to yourself, I have no enemy. Now my ego, everything's an enemy. The ego feels threatened by everything. Everything that moves or lives or creeps or crawls or breathes at all. That's what the Course says about the ego. The ego feels a threat by everything. Yes. Wow.
The only other thing I want to add is that we're all reflective of each other. What I would find was when I would bring to that person that particular aggression, then they would respond in positive time.
Yes, that's right.
I feel now that what I was doing is drawing their ego up. And sometimes they're strong enough to resist, and sometimes I go, oh, it's wrong with you more.
Yes.
You know, but so and then I found that when I thought about whatever it was, and I went with the right posture, then their reflection was harder to go the wrong way. We want to meet each other where we're starting each other at, you know. So that ego doesn't allow even the person to bring the love yet. It will kind of fight through it if you bring that.
Yes.
You know, so really, that was powerful.
Oh, that's so amazing. Thank you so much. That's really powerful. It's beautiful. Yes, exactly. And then the truth is reminding us that the truth about you is that you can't be attacked and you can't be under threat because you are completely, perfectly, and eternally loved by your source. And when you got that going for you, what's there to be upset about? Who could hurt you? What could hurt you? What can take something from you when you've got it all? You know, who you are can't be attacked. You know, and that's the work. That's the lesson. That's the work, is because your ego is always going to be telling you that you're being attacked and you're under threat, and if you don't defend yourself, then you're going to be, you know, you're going to die or whatever. You know, and we have to let the truth retrain our minds that I'm not under attack. I can't be threatened. I can't be attacked. The truth is that I'm loved perfectly and completely and eternally right now and forever, no matter what they think or I think. So thank you for sharing that. Very, very beautiful. Yes? Mm-hmm.
It's like we are using like two filters.
Two filters.
Of thinking. So I can take something what somebody is talking a bit about me through the filter of ego or the filter of love.
Yes.
And I can tell you one example. I met one person and I was dancing and this person asked me, oh, this is how guys in your country dance like? Ego was, hey, what your business, yeah? Love, you know what? Guys in my country don't dance like this because they think through the filters that they are not masculine if they dance like this. But I hear my spirit is dancing wherever I want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I dance the same.
Yes, exactly. So that perception of threat is literally just a filter. It's just a choice. It's just a perception, a choice. Yeah, exactly. Two filters. You either love or fear, and when you're giving the filter of fear, then everything is a threat that you have to defend yourself against, or you have to correct them. Right? Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, and it's always a choice. And the Course in Miracles says, the power of choice, the power of decision, is the one true power left and remaining to us as a seeming prisoner of the world. That's your one remaining power. I have the power to choose whether I'm going to choose the truth, love, or an illusion, fear, threat. Yes, beautiful. All right, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to have you come up and do announcements, and then we are going to have a lovely song play for us again. Yay! We're so blessed. Okay, so announcements are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Course in Miracles class here at Villa de Angel in Ajijic and on Facebook live stream. On Sundays, it's Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles. Greg and I do that class. And Mondays, like tonight, Practical and Healing Applications. Tuesdays, Greg's Course in Miracles class. And if you guys would like to have some more Course in Miracles classes to use for healing when you need it, that's easier to access than Facebook, go to my YouTube channel. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Course in Miracles classes on hundreds of topics. And go to my YouTube and have access to that. And when you go there, bless the YouTube algorithm and hit subscribe, like, and share. And thank you for that. So appreciate you guys so much. And da-da-da. Yay! Yay!
That was beautiful.
Right?
Thank you for that beautiful teaching. And that sparked this song I wrote a few years ago about just feeling safe when you're not in fear.
Nice. Yes.
Oh, beloved one, know that I'm with you. I've got your heart in my hands. We'll get through, oh sweet one. Home of my heart, I'll hold you when you cry, and when the night feels too dark, you are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. You are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. My angel, let me tell you more. Until you know, until you see, you're the ocean, I'm the shore. Oh dear one, I hear you now. Forgive me that it took so long. Let me show you now. You are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. You are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. Will you join me? You are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. You are safe. You are safe. Rest into my love for you. You are
That's the perfect song. That's the perfect. I could have done a meditation helping people to feel God's love for us, but that song was absolutely perfect. It did it.
Yay,
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Exactly what the message was.
Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Wendy. That's awesome. All right, guys. Love you guys so much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining our Healing Circle this evening. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for some more classes. I appreciate you so much. Bridget says beautiful. All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.